When James Gunn was announced to be taking over the duties of building a new universe and rebooting the DCEU, a lot of fans were pissed. But James Gunn has now revealed some new info that maybe is going to make them less pissed. Because he reveals when he came on board the first time to work on The Suicide Squad, that at that stage they were already planning to recast Henry Cavill for Man of Steel 2. So you should just be mad at WB, right? So as some of you know, Man of Steel 2 was a project that was in the works when Man of Steel 1 was in development, but we then, following the Man of Steel release and the following Comic-Con, learned that ideas and plans changed, and instead of a Man of Steel 2, WB pivoted to a Batman vs. Superman film. Now, this is an important piece of detail and a key piece of detail to this whole story, because when they did this, this obviously signaled that they were going after Marvel, and they wanted a piece of that giant multi-billion-dollar pie. And of course, at the forefront of this was Superman, Henry Cavill, but he, of course, was going to be joined by other superheroes. And lazily, they put together a film that united Batman and Superman while ignoring Man of Steel 2. And Man of Steel 2 continued to be in development. There was rumors we were going to get it after Batman v Superman, before Justice League, and then after Justice League. And recently, there was reports that they wanted Michael Bay to direct it. At one point, Henry Cavill brought the director of the most recent Mission Impossibles, which he, of course, ended up working with him during Mission Impossible Fallout to try to structure a Man of Steel 2. This was all turned down. So what James Gunn was revealed that when he joined the DC Universe, after he was fired by Marvel, that they were already in the process of recasting Henry Cavill before 2020. So some of you guys might forget, or might have forgotten, I should say, that James Gunn was hired by WB in October of 2018 to work on a sequel to Suicide Squad, which then would end up just simply being called The Suicide Squad. And during this time, there was all sorts of things going on with DC. We know that at that point, they were done with the Snyderverse. They were just ready to dump it. Zack Snyder was not coming back. Henry Cavill was out. But in due time, they decided to sort of meet everybody in the middle. And while buying time and seeing what was going to happen with the Suicide Squad, they went in a couple of different directions. Let's put it that way. One, put out the Snyder Cut. Two, start working on a Man of Steel sequel and taking pitches from various directors, including Matthew Vaughn, for example, at one point, and other directors that we've talked about before, but nothing landed. So what we recently learned is sort of game-changing, I would say, because James Gunn revealed that when he came on board in 2018, there was already an idea in play, and this idea was recast Henry Cavill for Man of Steel 2. Now, do you guys remember the reports coming at us from Deadline and Variety and The Wrap around 2018, prior to 2019, that WB fired Henry Cavill? And if you guys remember, when it came to Shazam, it wasn't Cavill doing the cameo. And the trades reported that they're moving forward with more Superman, but that they're looking to recast. This all lines up now, as James Gunn confirmed that they were looking to recast for Man of Steel 2. He was just here to produce his movie. He wasn't involved with the bigger picture. And even before pitching his own Superman reboot, which he was writing on the side for fun as an Elseworld tale, they were still having movement happen on Man of Steel 2. Now, Cavill was fired for a specific reason that people don't realize. And just for an example, when Henry Cavill joined Batman v Superman, he was paid $14 million. For Justice League, he was paid $20 million. And each episode of The Witcher's Netflix cost between 400 to 500 million per episode. It's where most of their money went, which shows in some of the lack of the quality of the TV series. Reportedly for Man of Steel 2, he was asking for a guaranteed $20 to $30 million. They weren't going to gamble that on a sequel to a film that was critically and financially not what they wanted. But that all changed when he came back in Black Adam. So in the middle of everything that was happening with WB and after the Discovery acquisition, we know that The Rock sold everybody at WB a bill of goods built around him. I saved the Fast and Furious franchise. I am a billion-dollar box office hit. Therefore, build the entire universe around me and make me the center of it. It just so happens that The Rock also shared the same agent as Henry Cavill. The Rock pulled some strings, and Cavill was brought back in a way that was guaranteeing a confrontation with Black Adam, which at the time they believed was a billion-dollar hit just waiting to release, and that the sequel would essentially be Man of Steel versus Black Adam. Now, what happened was they saw the writing on the wall when the early projections started and when test screenings were abysmal. They realized this was not going to work. So Henry Cavill had a favor. It was show up in this and we're going to make a sequel. That obviously didn't happen. We now know. And the reason it didn't happen is because, one, committing to a Man of Steel 2 or a Black Adam 2 that features either Superman or Black Adam versus Superman the movie would have cost them 20 to 25 million for The Rock, 20 to 25 million for Henry Cavill, leaving another 200-ish million for the rest of the film. $250 million budget with an advertising budget of roughly $300 million. The break even for that film would have been $800 million on a film that just failed to deliver. It wasn't going to happen. So WB made the only call, the smart call, and the best call that they could make. Cancel all plans, fire Henry Cavill for a second time, although he wasn't officially technically hired. It was a promise to make good without any formal paperwork, and, well, it didn't happen. And in the end, everybody just kind of left scratching their head wondering what exactly was the plan? What were they doing and what direction were they heading in? And it turns out they were heading in a reboot direction. And the reboot was simply Legacy, Superman Legacy. It was going to focus on a brand new take, which at the time that James Gunn was writing it was still when Henry Cavill was brought back. It was never intended to be a clean reboot. But what happened was that they saw the legacy of Man of Steel. They saw what happened with bringing him back and how that didn't generate any buzz. They saw what happened with everything else in the DC universe. The Flash tracking to bomb, Shazam 2 not tracking at all, literally nobody cared. Blue Beetle was about to bomb. And they saw that pretty much everything, including Aquaman 2, was at an all-time low for interest. The only solution they had was to cancel all plans and start over. Lucky for them, James Gunn was in the right place at the right time. And they realized, if we let him go, he's back to working with those guys. And we got the golden goose here right now that can give us our final fighting chance. Hence why Cavill was let go, and why we're getting Superman, a brand new take with a brand new universe, with a couple of holdovers from things that James Gunn worked on in the DCEU, like the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker being made partial canon. So in the end, while they did try to do a Man of Steel 2, you gotta realize that there was also other problems. J.J. Abrams was also developing a Superman film. There was a Superman HBO series that was set on another Earth. There was a Superman film starring a black Superman also being developed, while James Gunn was working on Superman Legacy, and Man of Steel 2 was also fighting for the same exact position. At the end of the day, one of these was going to win out, and the one that won out is the one that we're getting in just around the corner. And by the time you see this, if it's after, well, Superman is out, and we'll know how it did and whether or not it was a bigger success than Man of Steel or not. Did WB make the right call? Should they have moved with Man of Steel 2? We'll know soon enough, or we already know now. Thank you for checking out that video, and thank you for your continued support. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, do whatever you will, and if you're so inclined and would like some additional content from us, which includes unfiltered content and bonus discussions, we do offer exclusively in our member section. We hope to see you there. So thank you for watching, and have a good one.